was busy thinking about.
You're mine, and we belong together.
We used to be best buddies, and now we're not. I wish you would tell me why.
God, I wish that you had thought this through before I went and fell in love with you.
Caroline, Caroline, you are in terrible danger.
You probably think this world is a dream come true, but you're wrong.
We used to be best buddies, and now we're not. I wish you would tell me.
I love her. I love her with every fiber of my being.
You say that in the present tense.
Yes.
I mean, she's dead because you killed her.
Yes.
But you love her.
Yes, I do.
I go to fall asleep while he's playing these videos, and I wake up and I hear this heavy breathing sound, and he's literally touching himself over my sleeping body. I laid there frozen, and I knew, like, okay, Savannah, if you open your eyes, if you move more than you would normally move if you're sleeping, he might try to force you to participate. Like, he might try to, like, I don't know, like rape you, or like, I just know that I don't want to have sex with this person. He finished and went to the bathroom. I looked for my phone and it wasn't there. And I was just thinking, like, I've been gone for, I don't even know what time it is. I need to get back. And then I guess I fell back asleep sometime when he was like in the shower. And I wake up and he's making eggs, like as if nothing happened. And I look at the phone, it's like probably 5, 6, 7 p.m. the next day. But I'm like, oh my God, my roommates need to know where I am. It's like the next day. I didn't plan to be out this long. And he's like, oh no, don't worry, love. Why are you worrying about these things? I'm here for you. Then he starts saying stuff like out of nowhere, casual, like, when we have babies, they won't be vaccinated. And how he's picked an island for us to go live on to repopulate the planet when it's eventually completely taken out by nuclear warfare. And I'm like, I really need my phone. And I realize at this point, while I'm searching around the bed, searching around the pillows, he has my phone. I finally give myself permission to allow myself to be heard. And I was like, I need to connect to Wi-Fi to talk to my roommates about when I'll be back. I don't even remember how I convinced him to give me my phone and let me connect to Wi-Fi. I finally do, and I have all these messages from a few of my flatmates who were like, we're getting really worried. And I'm like, it's okay. I was downplaying it because, to be honest, I thought there was nothing that insane going on. So I tell him I'm going to take a phone call outside. And he tells me, what are you doing? You don't need to leave. And he walks over to the door and he looks at me and he goes like this for me to give him my phone. When he did that, his energy and the look in his eyes shifted from this like fake happy guy who's gonna drive you around everywhere to like, I just like handed over my phone. I just knew like it was another moment where like, do you wanna see where this might escalate to? Then he just stopped and like went back to like in the kitchen making eggs again, like everything's normal and we're having brunch.
Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew, part 35. This creature is known as a woolly monkey, and due to poachers and people trading and selling them illegally, there's only 1,000 of these little guys left in the world. The uncanny valley is a phenomenon in which people become fearful at things that are very close to human, but something isn't quite right. Throughout history, mummies actually weren't that rare. That is, until the Victorian British ate so many of them. During the Arctic exploration, one of the scientists was complaining that his shoes were soaking wet. Later, when he took them off, he found this was because his feet were decaying and liquidized with his blood. A man once donated his recently deceased mother's body for scientific research. Later, he discovered that the research facility sold it to the US Army for $5,000, strapped it to a chair, and blew it up with explosives.
Gone girl, gone wrong. This is the case of Sherry Papini. On November 2nd, 2016, 34-year-old Sherry Papini, a wife and mom of 2 kids, vanished in broad daylight. It seemed to have been an abduction while she was out on a run near her home in Redding, California. Her family, police, and community searched everywhere. Her husband tracked her phone via Find a Phone app and found it on the side of a road with strands of her hair. They feared the worst. Missing signs, searches, California and the states surrounding it were being searched high and low for Sherry. This was major media attention. That was until Thanksgiving Day, November 24th, 3 weeks after she had gone missing, Sherry reappeared on the side of a highway. She's seen here on video footage. She was found with a bag over her head, a broken nose, hair cut off, and was chained at the waist and wrists 140 miles away from her home. She had also been branded on her right shoulder. Sherry said she was kidnapped by 2 Hispanic women with a handgun and a dark-colored SUV, even going into detail about their appearance for a police sketch. She said she suffered reported beatings while being held captive. When police asked her what the kidnappers' motive was or why they released her, she didn't know. Sherry's husband and family were relieved that she was home, but law enforcement began having doubts about her uncorroborated kidnapping. One day, the sheriff's office received a phone call from a man who told them that Sherry was actually with him the entire 22-day period she was supposedly being held captive. He said, basically, that it was a hoax. This man was supposedly an ex-boyfriend of hers. According to the DOJ, evidence found that Sherry fabricated the entire ordeal, even going as far to harming herself to make her story more believable. On March 3, 2022, Sherry was arrested on charges of making false statements to federal law enforcement officers and mail fraud. To make things even worse, from 2017 to 2021, Sherry received $300,000 from the California Victims' Compensation Board. Sherry is now in custody and is considered a flight risk. What do we think?
These moments were fair. Now here do you go, and I couldn't let my heart in flames, and I fell into your crazy games, but you played it so better. I want you to know, don't act like a stranger. I want you to know.
It's time for Cookies and Crime. Next up in the Zodiac Sign Serial Killer series is Capricorn. This is the story of Dean Corll, also known as the Candyman. Dean was born December 24th, 1939 in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Other than his parents getting divorced when he was 7, Dean had a pretty mild childhood. He was known as a shy and serious child who rarely socialized with other children, but still expressed concern for the well-being of others. At one point, Dean's mother and stepfather started a small family candy company operating from the garage of their home. He and his younger brother would help out and were responsible for running the candy making machine and packing the product. Dean's mother and stepfather divorced in 1963 and subsequently opened a new candy business. She appointed her eldest son, Dean, as the vice president of the company. The same year, one of the teenage boys working at the candy company complained to Dean's mother that her son had made sexual advances towards him. In response, the teenager was fired. In 1964, Dean was drafted into the United States Army. He reportedly hated military service and was given an honorable discharge by request 10 months later. During his period of service is when he realized that he was gay, and it's where he experienced his first homosexual encounter. He resumed his position as the vice president of his mother's candy company. Because the business was directly across the street from Helms Elementary School, Dean was known to give free candy to local children, in particular teenage boys. This is where he earned his nickname the Candyman or the Pied Piper. In 1967, 27-year-old Dean befriended 12-year-old David Owen Brooks, one of the students he used to give candy to. After some time, David started seeing Dean as a father figure. But then, Dean pressured David into a sexual relationship. David would later become one of Dean's accomplices. Dean's first murder victim would be 18-year-old freshman Jeffrey Conan. He was caught on September 25, 1970 when Dean offered him a ride. Jeffrey was strapped to a plywood torture board, assaulted, and then murdered by strangulation. In 1971, David Brooks lured Elmer Henley to Dean's house as a potential victim. But instead, Dean offered him a deal. For every boy that he brought over to Dean's apartment, he would receive $200. Dean told Elmer that the boys were to be used for the white slavery ring operating from Dallas. Dean would go on to murder a minimum of 28 males aged 13 to 20. Then on the evening of August 7, 1973, Dean threatened to kill his accomplice Elmer and 2 other teenagers. Elmer then grabbed Dean's pistol and shouted, "You've gone far enough, Dean. I can't go on any longer. I can't have you kill all my friends." Dean shouted back, "Kill me. You won't do it." Elmer then shot Dean in the forehead. Still lunging toward him, Elmer shot him several more times until he died.